Hi everyone, I'm stopping by tonight to share this Copic painting with you. It's a pastoral scene, a tower set next to a river with a field of barley on the other side. The scene we're working on is based on a famous poem from the 1830s that was revised and then republished in the 1840s. And if you can guess what it is by the end of this video, I would love to hear from you, so drop me a note in the comments. I'm sketching out the key components in the scene, starting with the tower that's in the foreground with a C1 marker, which is light enough that if I make any mistakes, I can just erase it with a colorless blender or go over it with a darker marker later. Now I'm just drawing in the outline for the riverbank, and then next I'm going to draw in the horizon line, which is going to let us know where the sky begins and land ends. Next, I'm just going to draw some ragged lines across the top of the paper just to represent mountains. And I'm going to put a little row of mountains in front of those in the back. I'm drawing lines, squiggly lines, down the points of some of the mountains, and I'll show you why in a moment. I'm going to take my C1 marker and just flick from the edge of each of those lines going all the way down. And what you'll see is that this is going to give the appearance of mountains, and it's going to make them start coming to life and look more dimensional. So I'm going to do that wherever I placed a squiggly line, and just kind of go all the way down towards the bottom, shading a little bit darker or lighter here or there, just depending on, you know, what I think looks good. Here I'm just filling in a little foothill along the front. You can make as many or as few mountains as you like. And next I'm going to blend everything together with a C0 marker, just so that the C1 blends in more with the bare cardstock. To fill in the riverbank, I'm going to start with a B000, which is the lightest color, flicking from either edge, like we did with the Copic painting from 2 weeks ago. And this is going to give the appearance of the water moving along the riverbank. Next, I'm going in with a darker blue, a B00, again, starting at the edges and working my way inwards. And now I'm going to start filling in the road by the side of the field of barley. I'm using an E40 marker here, very lightly, just to let me know how much room I need to leave between the barley and the river to make sure that there's an appearance of a road later. The fields of barley is really, really fun to draw in because it's just a series of thin lines that you draw across the page. And you can use any yellow or brown or orange tones that you like. Here I'm using, for the topmost row of barley, a Y26, and then I'm going to go over it with a Y28 to give the barley a little bit more dimension. My lines are going to get smaller as we get to the left side of the page by the tower, because we want to give the appearance that that portion of the barley is further away. Now, to work on the middle row of barley, I'm going to use a YR21 and then go over it with a YR24 marker and do the exact same thing that I did on the first row, just working my way from right to left, making the flicks of color shorter as I get to the left side of the page. Next, we're going to put in our final row. This is the row that's closest to the road. I'm going to be careful to try to make sure that I maintain the edge of the road as I do this, and I'm going to use a Y24 and then a Y29 marker. I can't stress enough how relaxing it is to draw in this field, because there's not a lot of thinking to it. Once you draw in your road, you're just following along the line and you're just making three different rows of color in whichever colors that you like. Now we're going to draw in the road, and I'm going to use an E43 because that's the color that ultimately I want the road to appear. And then I'm going to take an E41 and just blend the edges of the road into the riverbank and close it out by going along the edge of the barley with an E44, and then I'm going to take my E43 again and work pretty hard to blend out that E44 so that it doesn't look like a line. It just looks as though that's the edge of the road separating the barley from the road. All the brush strokes that are used in this painting are pretty simple and easy to execute if you break it down into steps. There aren't a lot of judgment calls that you have to make. If you just follow what I'm doing on screen, you should be able to replicate it pretty easily at home, and it should be a relaxing exercise, I think. So I thought my water was a little bit light, so I'm just gonna go back over some portions with a B21 to darken it up, again using that same method of starting from the outer edges and working my way to the middle and leaving a little bit of a highlight in the middle so that, one, it looks like there's a highlight, and two, so we can see some of the brush strokes so that it gives the water the appearance of movement. Now we're going to work on the tower. To start, I'm filling in the entire tower with a C1 marker, and now we're going to start working on the bricks. And I'm going to go around the window first with some little rectangular shaped brush strokes. And then for the stones, if you like to doodle, you'll love doing this part of the painting because you're just going to draw all little odd shaped doodles basically. And you're just going to keep going all the way up through the tower until your tower is pretty much filled in. So wherever you see a little crease or a little open space, you're just going to fill it in with a little squiggly mark and just keep going till you get to the top. Next, we're going to start working on the top of the tower, and I'm just going to start by filling it in with a C3 marker, and then I'm going to go over it with a C5. I have to admit, for all the parts of the painting, that this is probably the section that I struggled with the most. I didn't have a good vision of how I wanted it to turn out, but ultimately I'll show you how you can save that towards the end of the video. Now I'm taking that same C5 marker and I'm going to add a little shadow at the bottom of each of the stones. So I'm just following the squiggly line that runs along about the bottom third of each of those little marks that I left, and then I'm going to go over the entire brick with a C3 marker just to blend it all together. Now I want it to look like there was a light in the window, so I used a very light Y000 marker, and then I wanted it to appear as though there's a figure standing behind the window, so I used my C1 marker to do that and just trace kind of very, very broadly an outline of what I thought looked like a person. To fill in the sky, I'm going to use B60, B63, and B66, which are some of my favorite colors. And I just started by filling in the entire background of the sky with B60, using strokes horizontally from side to side. And then I'm taking the B63 and I'm just trying to put that right behind the mountains so that it, gives an appearance of a shadow behind the mountains. You can use any colors that you like here for the sky. Maybe you have a favorite palette that you like to use, and I recommend that you try that out. Try whichever colors are, speaking to you, or the colors that you like the best. I just happen to have a preference. Lately, I've been loving the B60, B63, and B66 combination. Now I'm just drawing a little island around the tower, and I'm using a YG97 for the base, and then I'm going to go around the outer edge with a YG99 and then blend that in with a YG95. So I'm working again on the top of the tower using a C7 with some short strokes, trying to, make it look like there are some spikes at the top of the tower. Then I wasn't crazy about that, so I tried to blend it in more with a lighter gray marker. Here I'm putting some grass along the bottom of the tower using YG99 and I think it was YG95. Although any of between YG93 to 99, any of those would work well. Here I'm just taking an R56 marker and I'm going to add some dots along the edge of the island. We're going to turn these into roses in a little bit. Now I'm drawing some vines up the side of the tower using a YG99, and I'm going to also add some leaves using the same YG99, and then I'm adding some lighter leaves with a YG95. I'm going to take the same R56 marker and draw in some roses on the vines using a spiral stroke. Here I'm just adding some highlights with a white gel pen to the roses, just putting some little white flecks of color in the center of the roses on the island, and then those that are on the vines going up the side of the tower wall. Then I'm just putting some little white strokes in the grass too, just to give the grass some dimension. I also tried this along the top of the tower because I still wasn't happy with it. I was trying to figure out how to get it to look a little bit better. I'm just making some little white flecks to kind of extend along the bank of the river, and then going over it with a Y99 just so it looks like there's a grassy border around the island. For the lady in the tower, I just wanted to kind of mute the yellowness in the window, so I went over it with a C0 just to make it less bright. Okay, so we're done with the painting portion of this video. So just carefully remove the tape, and if you like, you can stop here if you're happy with how your painting looks, or you can move on to the next step and turn it into a card. And to do so, I'm using some sentiments from the Hero Arts March 2018 monthly kit. I'm using a sentiment from the kit that just says sending, and then a die from the kit that says hugs. And I'm going to adhere that whole thing to a dark gray card base. And then I'm going to glue on the hugs using my multi-medium matte adhesive. I guess you could use any glue you're used to using. And the reason why I had cut the painting panel to 3 3/4 inches instead of 4 1/4 inches is because I wanted to make sure that the die hugs was going to have space to hang down and not be off the actual card base. So I took some sequins from the kit, and I'm just going to put some stars in the sky and then a little flourish by the yes and hugs, and that is going to finish off this card. So I hope you enjoyed this. I really hope you try to make this card. It's a lot of fun. And if anyone knows the poem that this painting is based on, I would love to hear from you in the comments. Have a great night, everyone, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.